All right, hey everybody, welcome back. We are jumping in where we left off yesterday. I was running the shifts up to Laravel 10. I think I paused the stream after running the Laravel 7 shift. Again, I didn't think there's much need to see me run, the Laravel 8 shift, the Laravel 9 shift, the Laravel 10 shift. You kind of get the feel for my process of working through those, just seeing a couple of them. Again, the name of the game was just defaulting everything and letting Shift do as much of the automation as possible. So we're now in a place to start kind of what I call backfilling the customizations. Now I'm actually stopping to do that at Laravel 10. So again, I ran the Laravel 10 shift merged in from yesterday. And that's kind of where I'm going to pause before running the Laravel 11 shift. Now, even though I'm ultimately going to Laravel 11, I want to take the opportunity to backfill some stuff for two reasons. One, if there were incompatibilities, I would resolve those here and potentially push this to production while I was still maybe pulling out a package that's abandoned in Laravel 11, or again verifying the upgrade before I wanted to do the new app slimming or anything like that. Any reason to take a stop. Laravel 10 is technically still supported. Actually, I think today is the last day of bug fixes. The other reason though is the Laravel 11 shift does the slimming, as I mentioned, and to have your customizations back in here, you actually end up getting more optimization. So if I left some of these files defaulted, I may not get some of the suggestions or some of the migration that the Laravel 11 shift will do when slimming your application. So we'll see what that means towards the end of the shift, but just kind of a lay down there of kind of what we're going to do. So I mentioned in the last stream that Shift always uses kind of this default on all the stuff that it does. Any kind of more aggressive commit, anything where it might be overwriting my changes, or I, again, configured it to do so, kind of have this default prefix. So now what I want to do, now that I'm kind of taking this pit stop, is I want to backfill those customizations. I want to reapply those customizations to the current Laravel 10 code base. So let's do that. I'm just going to copy this commit. I've got a little command for git open, and I'm just going to pull one of these random commits. It's not really, doesn't really matter which one I'm doing, because I'm just going to paste in the SHA here and say W1. Now what I'm doing here is I'm looking for anything where I might have lost a potential customization. So anything in green is fine because it's new. Anything in red is kind of what I care about. Now, anything with an env variable, I'm probably just going to note. Now, I know that the previous shifts, again, if you were watching yesterday, do note Redis client, Redis cluster, Redis prefix. So all of those are fine. I'm really honestly just looking for hard-coded values. So these things actually didn't change. They're just quoted versus not quoted. All that's fine. Okay, here's a good example. Cloud is Google. They weren't leveraging this file system cloud. They just hard-coded Google. That has been defaulted to this use the env. So we just want to kind of note that somewhere in the project. So I'm actually just going to do that in the README, I think. So we'll just kind of put this down here, and we'll just say something like customizations, and let's do the notation. That looks good, txt. And we'll say file system Google. All right, let's keep looking for anything else. Comments changed, new options. Spark Post is gone. I don't think they were using Spark Post. Looks like they're using Mailtrap and Mailgun. So I think that one's fine. Let's keep going to the next one. So again, I'm just kind of going through these. Now this particular commit is not something that the normal Shift does. I configured Shift to be a little more explicit here. So in this case, I'm not necessarily going to try to pull all these customizations back unless they're within a core file. So these login controllers, I'll probably skip, but middleware, kernel middleware is probably something I want to take a look at, or the HTTP kernel and middleware is something I want to take a look at. So they do have trust proxies and handle coors, which I think is default now. Let's find out. Kernel HTTP. Okay, handle coolers and trust proxies. Okay, they just got moved and migrated. That's fine. They have a very large throttle here, throttle middleware. So let's just bring this back into play. And then they have a throttle, 5,000 bindings and localization. So we have throttle, substitute bindings, and what was the other one? This localization. I think that's their, it looked like that was their own custom, yeah, app middleware. Okay, so let's bring this back to life. They have this app, HTTP, middleware, localization class, all right? And then their throttle requests, they have this bumped up to 5,000. I don't know. I'm trying to decide if I want to change this to 5,000 or if I want to hard code that to 5,000. Laravel has, if we look at the route service provider, they kind of define this as 60. I mean, I guess the thing to do would be 5,000 there. I just don't know. I mean, clearly they don't use that API because it's new. They don't use that named rate limiter because it's new. So, you know, you could, I guess the point is that to match kind of the old style, I could technically say, you know, 5,000:1 here, I believe, and it would all still work. But let's take advantage of the new stuff, right? That's the whole point. So it looks like in the authenticate class, they redirect to not authorized. So let's keep making these customizations. So authenticate redirects instead of, so if it doesn't expect JSON, redirects to not authorized. And again, I'm putting these back in the core files because the Laravel 11 shift will do slimming, meaning it'll get rid of some of these kernel files, some of the default middleware, and I want to give it the opportunity to apply their customizations again, so I don't have to do this for Laravel 10 and Laravel 11. It would be a lot more to keep track of because these files might not exist in Laravel 11. So I just want to take the opportunity to go through those. So route service provider home, all good there. They're just doing some debugging there, so that's fine. It doesn't look like there's actually any customizations here. They're just missing periods. So those were just Laravel updates in general. Oh, they do have their own coupon. Okay, so let's bring that across. Validation, EN. And I'm just going to put this down here at the bottom again, like they had. So coupon. Coupon comes across as applicable. Okay. That's interesting. I didn't know those could be nested like that. Well, I knew they could, but I'm curious what the style is. All right, let's keep going. So another config defaulting. This should all just be new stuff. No big deal here. Set secure cookie false. All that's fine. So no changes there. And I don't think we're going to continue to see many changes as we look through the rest of these. The first few are normally the hardest. So exception handler, there's some old stuff here. Let's bring this across. We can make this more modern too, so we can take the opportunity to go ahead and modernize this. So if we look at the handler, what is this? This is in report. So reportable, we can now just take this code and typecast it and say if exception or get code is equal to 9, we can ignore, or I guess in this case just return. I forget if you return false from those or not. Let's keep their comment too. Looks like it matters. All right, let's put it in there. It's a little cleaner. Let's go check that. Laravel.com, exception handling. I'm just trying to figure out, oh, stop, here you go, okay. Yeah, you can return false. Okay, so if you wish to stop the propagation of an exception to the default logging stack, you may use the stop method when defining your reporting callback or return false from the callback. I think in our case it makes sense to return false because we're checking the actual code. So I think we probably want to return false there, is probably what we want to do. Again, does that match what Laravel 5.8 did when you return out of this? I don't know. I would assume so, but maybe not. And then I know Sentry has a new, more modern way to bind itself instead of having this kind of old school in your handler. So we can skip that as well. And it looks like they had some custom exceptions. All right. So let's go into verify CSRF token, and we'll put that in there. All right, cool. And I'm not too worried about PHP unit because it's going to need some love anyway. Let's just keep going down the line here. All right. They are using the API driver for Passport, so we're going to need to bring that across. Let's bring over auth. Let's reconfig this and the guards. Okay. File system, cloud, that's fine. Again, they're using Google, so I'll just relay that to them. And this is exactly why I let that first shift default them, because otherwise, every time I was looking at one of these commits, I would see, Google Cloud got overridden, the, auth driver got removed. I just applied them once, and now I'm just kind of double checking these, and there's really no code changes unless a new auth file was touched. So this is kind of an example of why I just let Shift do its work. There's very few changes as you actually go through and look at these files. It's just Shift is a little bit cautious when it tries to upgrade a core file. At least older versions were. Newer versions, Laravel 9, 10, and 11 shifts, they do a lot more static analysis, so that they'll make an extra effort to kind of put this stuff in here. So anyway, nothing to do here. This is just the new exception handler format. Nothing to do here, just a new signature. Okay, the event service provider definitely has some new stuff, so let's bring that across. Looks like these send mail things are new, so let's go do that because we want the Laravel 11 shift to do the best job there. So we got this send mail. Let's just give them the spacing back. Jury, okay, so all that looks good. Just making sure I didn't copy that in a bad way. And then again, we can ignore PHP unit for now because we're going to upgrade that separately. All right, almost to the end here. Thanks for sticking with me. Okay, config. I don't think there's an issue there. They do have some aliases, but again, these were preserved, and I know PDF comes across as a different facade now, so I think that's why that got removed. Calendar event got moved up. Calendar event, sorry, Berry Dev got moved down. Where'd calendar event go? Oh, up top, sorry. That's a hard diff to look at. Everything's there. Let's keep moving. Okay, there's nothing hard-coded in those configs. We're good with that. Two more. Another config. Again, everything's hard-coded. We bring across the service providers. All of these service providers are probably auto-discovered, but we'll handle that in Laravel 11. The point is I could probably remove them, but I'm going to leave it alone. Again, the rest of that is all green, so nothing to do there. Finally, one more core file. Let's get those customizations back. Oh, it defaulted it. Okay, that's fine. We've already updated validation. We'll see this get changed here in a minute. So I think we're good. Let's do this. Let's get these imports back. That's going to be important. I should be able to fix all in class. Okay, good. So just one more. Oops, don't want to create the class. Message sending. Where'd that come from? Oh, I bet you those are core. Those are core to Laravel, and I haven't run Composer install yet. Okay, where were those? Back here. Let's go bring that. Let's go back and look at that one more time. Just want to make sure I get those imports. Yeah, here they are. Let's get those and this. Yeah, I would be able to autocomplete those in Laravel, but I'm missing a couple. So let's bring that across, message sending. There we go. That should take care of. They're still squiggly because PHP Storm doesn't know what they are because we don't have the vendor folder yet. So the last thing is, oh, duplicate. Okay, there we go. So the final thing I want to do is run Pint. Everything we copied over, let's just make sure, we have, we didn't disrupt the code style. I need to configure Pint to ignore some of these Nova directories. That's why we're getting a lot of checkboxes. Let's take a second and do that. Does Pint have Laravel configuration? I know it's exclude, but I was trying to remember if you, okay, here we go. In addition, if you wish to use a Pint.json file from a, oh, okay. I was trying to see if they had like a Pint init or something that just made you a quick one, but I guess not. That'd be a cool addition someday. Okay, let's just copy that. And, oh, still running. What else do we need? Exclude, preset, rules, exclude. Here we go. So we just want this, because we're going to use Laravel by default. I'll just do it in PHP Storm while that's running. Let's do new file, pint.json, not now, exclude. Let's exclude Nova. Do they do the closing? No, they don't. So let's exclude Nova, Nova components, and we'll see here in a second. Yeah, GST, public PMA. Yeah, we don't want to do anything in there. Oops. All right, and then what else did it pick up? See, all these are just, there's no need. We don't want to format Nova. All the other stuff is fine. I think this is a good start. So let's just do this. Let's do a git checkout dot, or no, wait. We don't want to do that. That's not good. Git checkout public Nova and Nova components. There we go. Okay, we're back to normal. Now if I run Pint, it's much faster and only did the stuff we cared about. Okay, that's good. So let's do a git add dot, git commit dash m, and I'll just say backfill customizations, git push. Okay, so again, all of that was just to get back what files within their application that Shift defaulted as it was upgrading. And again, we told Shift to default them. Other than the config files, it would not have done that. And as we saw with the config files, as we went through those diffs, is that the config files, it does kind of a three-way merge, so that's a lot safer of an operation. But where we were defaulting the core files, there were customizations there that we cared about. And even so, from a 5.8 application running 7 shifts across 7 versions of the framework, it really only got, 7 files here. So that's really not that bad. Now I'm going to look through those again because there were some controller changes and stuff that we might need to bring over. But for the most part, those core files that it was defaulting, minimal changes there. And a lot of them, like the app exception handler, needed to be updated anyway, right? That wouldn't have run in modern Laravel. So we got that pushed up. Everything's here, so now we should be able to go out to laravelshift.com and we're going to run a shift. Let's run the 11 shift. Let's copy this, get back over here, copy that, paste, check out and run. This is already added to my plan, so we should be able to run this. I just want to make sure I pushed everything up. I did. We're synced up. Let's run it. All right, now that's going to take a minute or two as we saw before, so let's just let this do its thing for a second. So the goal now, again, I'm going to keep this stream a little bit short. We've backfilled our customizations. I'm doing that because the Laravel 11 shift will perform slimming. And in doing so, it's going to re-register a lot of stuff inside of Bootstrap app under the new application configuration, the new middleware configuration, all the new conventions Laravel uses. Shift is going to attempt to convert those. And because of that, I want things like my custom registered middleware to be migrated over. I don't want to have to write that by hand. So that's why, in this case, I slowed down. Instead of just immediately running the Laravel 11 shift after the Laravel 10 shift, I slowed down to backfill those customizations because now it kind of works in reverse. The Laravel 11 shift is so powerful and so particular about reviewing my custom code because of the slimming that it's actually better in this case to have that happen in the background. So, or sorry, have that happen beforehand. I saw that change to running and I was like background jobs in my head. So All right, let's give this another minute. We saw before that it took 2 or 3 minutes to run, so I think while we're waiting, I'm just gonna, you know what, let's just get a jump start. Let's just play around with Composer. Let's see what's broken here. We know we had some incompatible package, so while we wait for that to run a few minutes, let's play the Composer dance here. So we know certain things are going to be broken. Let's see if Composer complains about those, or are we going to have to kind of get in there ourselves? Sorry, not package JSON, Composer JSON. Let's give ourselves some more screen real estate. Okay, good. We know that, yeah, there we go. Problem 43, 44, 45. So the problem is that we know basically all of these Nova components, all of these custom Nova components are not going to be compatible. And there's dozens of these in the project, which is why we're running up against like 40 some odd errors. On top of which, all of these part HP are custom packages as well. So there are a good 20 or 30 packages here that are probably going to prevent me from being able to run Composer update at all. They also have Nova loaded kind of the old way, directly in the application. So not awesome there. You know, we're going to need to update to Nova 4 to be compatible with Laravel 11. So again, a lot of work there. I think what we might do is pull them out temporarily and see if we can get Composer running. We might do that. I was just trying to see if this Laravel 11 shift is done yet. Not yet. All right, let's try that real quick while we're still waiting. And this is just a little trick I do sometimes. I basically, you know, I'm not too worried about the packages themselves right now. I want to see how close I am to getting Composer to run. So I'm going to pull out all of the packages that are custom. Let's see if we can tone down some of these errors now. So let's try this. We probably either need to add that -w option or, okay, so we don't have 42 anymore. That's good. Let's go back. I think I forgot the Nova one. See you later, Nova. Let's add the -w too, because these other things are now hitting up against the lock file, which makes sense. Okay, a little bit better. Laravel Nova Excel. There's some other Nova packages in here that make sense. I think if we kept playing that game where we removed them, it would be better. I'm also noticing this Tech House select autocomplete. We know that that is incompatible, as well as that PayPal bit is at least abandoned. It's not necessarily incompatible. It's just abandoned. That may not end up being a problem. In fact, we could go look at that. Still running. Okay, let's give that another minute. All right, let's go look at this again. I'm just trying to work ahead while the Laravel 11 shift is. Oh, it just finished. Well, let's finish our thought process here. Let's jump in here. It is archived. It's abandoned, but what are its requirements? PSR. That PSR log actually might be annoying. I feel like Laravel now uses PSR log. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe just monolog or something do. Depends on the package, I guess. Let's see what they have. PSR. Oh, no, they're compatible with 1, 2, or 3. So that, even though that package is abandoned, it's actually going to be compatible. So that's nice. I think if I dropped in Nova 4, it would satisfy all of those packages I just removed, as well as some of these other ones. You know, they probably need a bumped version or something. But the point is you know, I know Matcell, you know, this Laravel Nova Excel, I know it's going to be compatible, right? It's just a matter of getting the right version. So, all right, let's nah this. I don't want to do those right now because I want to finish running shift. So let's do that. Let's focus on that. Hey Samuels, how's it going? All right, let's review this. Again, pretty good amount of changes here, and because of all the files that are removed and slimmed, we get a very large kind of senior PR diff here of more removals than additions, so that's always nice. Okay, so we have the apply code style, we have the slim lang files, so if we go look at that, again, anywhere in our code that just matches a default bit, which is everywhere but coupon, now ended up getting removed, which is nice. So just a little trimmer there. What else do we have? All right, let's keep looking. Remove default app files. This is the big one. So if we go through, we can see that all that middleware got removed. It was all default anyway. The providers, broadcast service provider was untouched. They're probably not using broadcasting, so it's gone. Notice the event service provider and the route service provider, which were customized, were not removed in this. We'll see them get removed later. So let's keep going here. Shift core files, basic stuff here. Just drop it in the new index. Streamline config files. Here is where we're actually removing config files that are unchanged. Those that are changed, it just keeps their particular options. So custom options inside of app kept, debug blacklist, all that kind of stuff kept, our API guard kept. So yeah, any customizations still remain. The default stuff stripped out because it gets merged in. So it just allows us to keep a slimmer config file structure. So we're setting those new env variables. That's fine. There's nothing really to look at there. We'll see them in the comments too. Let's keep looking through the rest of these. I'm just going to open multiple of these at a time so we can go through them a little bit faster. The rest of this stuff's pretty obvious. This default core files, I think, is probably going to have a change we don't want. And real quick, let's pull this down. Git fetch, git check out that. All right, cool. So just in case we start making changes, we're on the right branch. So let's go through these and see, how close we are. So again, it defaulted our new app and providers files. So just kind of the default. Again, that means it's overwriting ours. Anytime you see that word default, it's basically overwriting our stuff. Okay, it re-registered our HTTP middleware, so notice it got rid of kernel, but it brought over all of our customizations, and we are familiar with these now because we saw that we backfilled some of these. So that not authorized, that validate token got re-registered, they're throttling their API. It brought over that group middleware that we dropped back in, as well as those custom aliases. So this commit is exactly why I wanted to backfill those for Laravel 10 before running the Laravel 11 shift, because I got all of this automated for me, right? If I had left it out and just kept running the shifts as I was yesterday, I would have missed this. I would have had to know to write these the new way, but now I don't have to know like the new way. Shift converted them for me and preserved them. And like I said, the Laravel 11 shift's very powerful. It does a lot better job of inspecting and migrating and converting this stuff to the new Laravel 11 way of doing things. So pretty cool. Same thing here. We just see that it did any kind of slimming that it could. So it killed the auth service provider. It wasn't necessarily being used. It killed the event service provider, but if we look at our app service provider, we should see, oh, sorry. Events are auto-registered. We'll see this in the comments. Events are auto-discovered now, and Shift underneath went and looked at that listener to make sure that it was listening for the correct event. And if it was, then it can be auto-discovered. And so it left it alone. So because these followed the Laravel conventions, there actually was no need to re-register them. It was able to just pull those out. Now, I'm actually curious in saying that I feel like this one, I don't think this one's on by default, so I would have expected this to still come across. So I'll need to double check that. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this just for my own debugging later, but I don't think this send verification notification event is turned on by default, but I definitely know that this message sending is not. So I'm surprised to at least not see the message sending come across. So interesting there. We'll take a look. Boot auth just brought over the passport routes. That makes sense. So let's keep going here. We see those custom providers getting registered in the new Bootstrap app file. So that's cool. And it brought over our app providers and put them in Bootstrap app, and then it removed those defaults from the config app. So now that's even trimmer now, even slimmer. So cool. The handler came across, it was removed, and that custom reporting where we were killing that particular exception code 9 got brought over into Bootstrap. So again, all those customizations coming over in the new Laravel 11 way through the shift. They are using API routes, so it brought those over. Looks like it got rid of channels because broadcasting wasn't being used. And I guess they didn't have any console commands. Let's go see. Is that true? Or well, I guess they didn't have any command scheduling is the point there. So we don't see anything there. I think I just want to triple check that. We could go do that here. Let's go do it. Console, we'll look at the old kernel. Were they doing any? They were doing some scheduling. That's interesting that that was not brought over. I'll have to look into that. That's interesting that wasn't brought over. I've seen it do a better job of that before, so I'm wondering why that didn't happen. I'm gonna take another screenshot of that. It definitely did it on the last project we were shifting, so strange. All right, let's keep going. Console kernel. Oh, just hadn't gotten far enough down to the commit where it actually did that. My mistake. It was re-updating routes. So we do see that it brought over the PayPal pending, all these different commands. Yeah, there they are. Okay, cool. So it did bring those over. Nice. We'll leave that alone. Okay, the rest of this is just your basic upgrading to Laravel kind of stuff, code changes. So converting cast to merge, we'll kind of ignore that. And then I'm actually going to get rid of this. I don't think that, this is because of that configuration option for shift. So I'm actually going to do a git revert on that. So let's go back and look at our validation file now. It should just be, yeah, our coupon. Cool. And I don't think you would need attributes here. I don't know why that was left, but I'll leave it for now. I don't think it hurts anything. Okay, cool. And that's it. Okay, let's look at the comments. So the changes on the surface look good. Let's see what else shift is kind of telling us about. Okay, it slims down our application. We know that. I've already said that a couple times, so let's go ahead and get rid of that comment. Shift detected faker modifiers which received arguments. Shift was not able to convert these. Interesting. I don't know that one. Let's go look at this. Faker oh, unique. Okay. It's talking about these. I'm not familiar with that change. What is the change? Faker unique modifiers. Can you pass unique something? You can reset unique for all providers by passing true. Okay, so what's Shift saying? Shift was not able to reliably convert these instances and convert any remaining property access chains. Oh, okay. That's a little, that wording on that is a little bit odd. Remaining property access. Yeah, okay. There's actually nothing I need to do here, but I'm gonna leave that comment for me to come back to. That wording could be a little more human. Again, that's one of the reasons I like doing these human shifts. You know, my time is limited, so I can't necessarily do all of them that come in. There's not, an overwhelming amount, but sometimes I do have to say, oh, I'm not available right now. And I hate that because as we see here, being able to run and use my product on real world applications allows me to, kind of improve it that little bit. So, even something as simple as just kind of tweaking this wording. I mean, I wrote this, I built the automation for this, but I don't see this message often. So in seeing it, I'm kind of like, what does this mean? What do I do? So it makes enough sense, but it takes kind of a lot of context for me to jar my memory. So I feel like that could read a lot better, and these could be linked. So that would be nice. If it linked to the code that was offending, then it might have clicked a little better. So there's some things I can do there to clean that comment up. Anyway, tangent. Going back to upgrading, streamline the lang files. We already saw that in the code, so that's cool. Could not that can be ignored. So that's good. Laravel framework no longer. Yeah. So we talked about how the configuration files can be defaulted and merged. So that's all good. Here are those custom envs again that we're going to want to make sure to preserve. So hold on to those. Here's some renames. We'll hold on to those. Here's where it talked about those listeners being auto-discovered. That's good. I do want to check that one framework bit. Laravel 11 now includes Guzzle as a framework dependency. Since Shift did not detect any references to Guzzle, is that true? Is this app using Guzzle at all? The PayPal controller is using Guzzle. Interesting. So it looks like, yeah, they're definitely using Guzzle. Where is this located? Just make sure this isn't in like a vendor folder or something. Nope, it's in app. Well, that is thumbs down, man. Let's check. I'll check this one out too. That's thumbs down. That seems misleading. Did it actually remove it though? That's kind of the question. Is that just an errand comment, or did it actually remove it? Is Guzzle still in here? No, it's not. It did remove it. Okay. Interesting. Okay, as we've seen before in yesterday's stream, all these were kind of updated multiple versions. These were not tracked by Shift, as we saw all the ones we removed. And then of course this checkout thing, and then this one's being marked as abandoned. So I think I can go ahead and remove this because we're pretty painfully aware of all of the packages. Shift detected your application as a test suite to provide Shift bumped to Laravel 10. Okay, like I mentioned, I'm probably going to need to update and check on the status of their test suite. So I'm going to leave this comment now with just some eyes. I'm not going to worry too much about this. It's just a refactor opportunity. Okay, Shift detected potential uses of change within your migrations. Okay, if so, we're probably going to want to... Oh, there's a crap load of migrations anyway. Okay. I'm probably going to recommend that the client squish these. If we look at change, yeah, 140 matches. Yeah, okay, so this is a big difference in Laravel 11. They got rid of deval, and in the process of doing so, this was kind of one of the breaking changes. Basically, you have to, inside of change, deval used to just figure out what kind of your current state was and then make the change. Whereas now in Laravel 11, when you change a column, you have to basically redefine its full definition. Any missing attributes, so like if you said something was nullable before, but then you called change, it's not going to be nullable after change unless you said nullable again. So because of that, you're going to want to squash your migrations. So I definitely want to have the client look at that. Again, here's that deval bit getting removed. Shift detected your project contains this dependency. If you are not using, let's see, are we using deval anywhere? Okay, so nowhere's using deval. That's fine. Let's go ahead and delete that. We're probably going to leave this. I'll take a look at that. Okay, here's that new thing. If you've been watching my live stream, here's that new feature in shifts, and this is I was talking about that context for the factories above. This is a little bit of a new new bit here that I've added in Shift. So it now actually will link to that particular snapshot, to that line, an offending line in the class that it's mentioning. So here's this diff in minutes that I would want to make sure is compatible with carbon 3. So all those are listed out, so I'm definitely going to go take a look at those. This is fine. I'm familiar with this. It's just a little configuration option. Let's see here. Previously, okay, so the route service provider is going to need to be migrated over. We'll do that together here in just a second. I'm not too worried about that, but I'm going to leave it for the client. This is all fine. Again, most of these are just informative about deployment. Okay, I've been dodging this Symfony thing. Let's check this out. Of course, Laravel uses Symfony underneath. So what I want to see is what are the places inside of their project where they use Symfony, and how are they using Symfony? Is it just in the commands to reference, underlying colors? Is it just, return types? That's what it seems to be. It looks like they are using Symfony process here. So there are some places where they're using, okay, where is this? Class as advisor. Okay, this is that PMA thing. That's weird. So there are some places that are getting used. Probably going to need to look at that, particularly the process component. I know changed a little bit, and it might be a good opportunity to use Laravel's new process built-in process facade. So I think that's nice. We'll go back and take a look at that. Again, all these are more deployment. Are you using MariaDB? Make sure you're running PHP 8.3. Here's that configuration option that we did. Make sure you clear your views. All that's fine. And then congrats, we're on the latest version. Awesome. Okay, I think we're in a good place. The last thing I want to do here, let's just see what kind of changes we have. None. I do want to take a look at this route service provider. Let's get this slimmed real quick. So let's go into our route service provider, and okay, it was using this old map routes bit. That's why there's a little bit of an issue here. So this is all default. It's pulling in the web routes and whatever, so that can actually go away. Again, this is registered in Bootstrap app. Let's just bring this up so you can see what we're talking about here. If we go down, we get web routing, API routing commands, the health check, all by default. So any of the old school default things, we can just get rid of. So it looks like the only customization they have is this v2 route. And in the modern Laravel world, we can do that with then. And again, I don't have auto completion here because I haven't have Composer running yet, so we don't have the vendor file, so I don't have all the links, but I'll show you in the docs. If we go to laravel.com and we go to routing, and we go down to, I think there's like route customization. Yeah, here we go. So the default stuff is web, all that stuff we talked about, but then you can have a then, and this is exactly where you would register additional middleware that aren't kind of the default. So there we go. So that comes across. Now there's ways to do that without doing then. I could go in my, API 1, and I could just include this. You could do something like route, prefix, group, and then, include it that way if you really wanted. But this is a little more explicit. This kind of calls it out. So that's the way to do that. And then the final thing is, I think we need to take this rate limiter and we need to bring it into our app service provider. So if we go app service provider, I'm just going to copy this boot here. Let's just copy this boot routes. We'll make that method. Oh, these are public. I don't think that needs to be public. Let's make it private. And we'll paste that in there. Whoops, not that. That. There we go. And let's bring across the stuff we're missing. Oh, crap. Oh, that auto-completion's starting to get annoying. Let's bring across these. And we'll clean them up here in a second. Boom. Get rid of that, get rid of that. All right, and I'm gonna run, oh, pint dash dash dirty. All right, that'll clean that up. Cool. Okay, and now we should be able to get rid of this. There shouldn't be any references anymore to route service provider. Let's find out. Oh, there is one in providers. Okay, that makes sense. So now we can kill this, and we can go back here and get rid of it. So we've kind of manually slimmed this. Now the reason Shift didn't get it is because two reasons actually. One, it had a very old syntax for how it was registering its routes, and then two, it had that custom route registration. Now if you were using the more modern way in which to register your routes, Shift would have slimmed it and noted the customization. I don't think it would have done it for you, but it would have narrowed it down and said, hey, that API v2, you're going to need to figure out how you want to register that. So got rid of that. Everything else is just in comments. So there's no other references in the application to route service providers. So we slimmed that. So let's just run pint dash dash dirty one last time. Dirty. That's just going to apply pint to the files I've changed. And we should be able to do git add dash u, git commit dash m. We'll say slim route service provider. Git push. All right, and if we go back to our code, we can get rid of this comment now. Okay, so I think we're in a pretty good place. I think now is going to be the battle of getting Composer to install. Now, I don't think that's a very fun process to watch. And because of the amount of private packages and the need to get a new Nova license and all these kind of things, I'm probably going to prep that off stream. I think tomorrow what we'll focus on is seeing if the application runs. So I'll get it to a place where Composer is actually installing off stream, and then what we'll try to do is see how much of the application is working and broken. Because again, there's still going to be a lot more work to do. While we're done running the shifts, and from a Laravel framework perspective, we're running version 11. From a custom application perspective, there's still going to be more work to do. And unfortunately, a lot of that work is going to deal with making sure the dependencies are compatible, doing any refactors there. And then, of course, going back and anything that we kind of glossed over before in these comments to make sure that that's implemented. So I'll do that in tomorrow's stream. So until then, thanks everyone for joining live, and I'll see you then.